Hello and welcome back everyone to PKIdeas for what I had explained in the introductory video of this series, and that is to look at the tournament reflection for the Gold Coast Open. So as I said before, I am looking at the first round between myself as white and GM Zhong Yuan Zhao as black, and this was held at about 6:30 at the Hinterland Hotel on the Friday night. My thoughts before the game, I knew that I was going to play him first round because I was seeded 24th. There were 50 total players, and within the first round there were about 12 buys taken. So what the Swiss system does is basically pitches the bottom half against the top half, and I was the top of the bottom half, meaning that I would be versing Zhao, who is the top of the first half. So that being said, let's get on straight with the game. Okay, so in the game I played knight f3, followed by d5, c3, knight f6, d4, g6, e3, bishop g7, and bishop to d3. This is called the Collie system. It's a system that I like to play simply because your opponent has to try really hard to try and win against you, and it's a pretty solid system, meaning that your opponent can't really do any major attacks, and you have a lead in development in the Collie system if your opponent wastes time trying to play the c pawn forward and the e pawn forward as well. So it has various advantages. In terms of disadvantages, this bishop on c1 is stuck over here, and you're only one move behind as white, because eventually you're going to have to play out the c4 or e4 and try and open up somewhere. If any of you know what the semi-Slav is, it's basically the same system as black, and black plays a one move under, so plays the same position a move behind. So this is where the Collie system comes from. I enjoy playing it, and I wanted to see what GM Zhao wanted to play against me. So in this position he had played castles, which is one of the three basic rules. So what I always teach my junior kids to play is basically pawn in the center, develop two pieces, and castle your king. And Zhao's done just that, and I'm about to do it in a few moves time as well. So I choose to develop my knight to d2, and he goes knight bd7. Then I play e4. So in this position, I saw that I had a kind of a lead in development in terms of how many pieces I got out and how many pawns that he's got. So in terms of that, I've got a slight lead. So I really wanted to open up the position, but notice how my king isn't castle right now, so it was a bit risky. After d takes e4, knight takes e4 happened, and then knight takes e4, bishop takes e4. So the first set of pieces have been taken off the board completely, meaning that I've got the two bishops, he's got the two bishops, he hasn't got a pawn in the center anymore, my pawn structure is pretty solid, he's castled, I haven't. So that's just a basic rundown of the whole position. So if you look at the side over here, what that is a chess engine. A chess engine basically tells you what the best moves in this position are. So here for black, what he is suggesting Zhao play c5, and that is exactly what he played, as expected of a GM of his class. So all good, and they're suggesting me playing bishop to c2, which is okay, but I realized that my king was uncastled, so I decided to castle my king instead. And then afterwards they suggest c takes d4, and I did c takes d4. He plays knight to f6, which is exactly what the engine suggested, and bishop to c2 was played straight afterwards. Then b6, he's got to develop the bishop somehow, and playing the bishop to g4 isn't necessarily a great idea, because I can simply play h3 and kick his bishop away. Then his bishop's a wasted move, and so it has to go back all the way again. So after b6, I played rook e1, going to hit this backward pawn over here on e7. He played bishop to b7. Let's now promote that and then remove this variation. So he played bishop to b7 first, attacking the knight. So this is when I decided to play a bishop to e3, because I need to guard this pawn after the knight moves. What his idea was just to take knight, after queen takes, then take this pawn, free pawn over here. So let's actually see that. So imagine if I play something like a3, he's just going to take, queen takes, and then queen takes pawn, and he's going to be better in that position. So after bishop to e3, I play queen d, he played queen d6, and I play queen e2, and here we have a discovered attack on this pawn on e7. Now in this position, basically what I'm thinking is that I'm not necessarily in a bad position right now. GMJ doesn't necessarily have an attack against me. His only threat is to pile up against this d4 pawn, and my only defense is to pile up on the d4 pawn and defend it. And that's pretty much how this game should have been going. But this is what happened now. So after move number 15, queen to e2, he played knight to g4. Now notice here, this pawn is hit twice completely, and it is guarded twice by this bishop and by this knight, which means that after this bishop goes and after the knight goes, this pawn will be completely vulnerable for black's pieces to take and munch upon. So his idea is just to remove the defender over here and then remove this defender on f3 and then take the pawn. So I necessarily didn't have to allow it, but I just had to push him away. So after I played h3, he took, and instead of taking the queen, which is another idea here, I took with the pawn, simply because after now bishop takes this knight over here, and then queen takes knight. Now this pawn is pretty much all guarded and all safe. So in this position, after f takes e3, he didn't play bishop takes. He just pushed this pawn forward, because essentially what he wants to do is he wants to try and open up. He's got the two bishops, which means that he prefers open positions rather than close positions. So he has the position that he wants, and now you can really see that this slight advantage is starting to build as the engine is telling right now. So he played e5 on move number 17, followed by rook a to d1, c takes d4, knight takes d4, then he played queen to e7. Now notice how I've gotten rid of one isolated pawn. Now I have another one on the e file, and this time it's going to be harder to defend as well. So after queen to e7, queen to f2, and then rook to c8. Now he's developing his pieces. Next I play bishop to e3. Now this pin over here that I have like so is really important, and the reason is because if black gets to push his pawn to f5 like so, then the game is pretty much over. I have this massive hole on e4 which he can plonk his bishop on, and it'll be game, set, and match. So I didn't want him to play f5 straight away, so I played bishop b3, pinning the pawn. Now what he played was he played rook to c5. Now he's bringing his rook into action. Now I played rook to c1 just to see what he's going to do. Now he played rook f to c8. Now notice here that if I took this rook, he's going to take with the pawn, attack the knight. After the knight moves, then he's going to push the pawn forward and attack the bishop, meaning that this pin on the pawn is no longer there. So in this position I can't really take, I can't really keep the rook there, I can't really keep the rook on this file over here, so I have to move it back to d1. After I move it back to d1, he played bishop e4. Now notice how my light squared bishop is on this file and it's not protecting this e4 square. Sorry, I said bishop to d4, it's bishop to e4. So bishop to e4. Now in this point of time I was thinking I've got to try something. I can't just let him steamroll me. So the idea in this position that I had was to create some kind of attack against his f7 pawn, tie down at least two of his pieces for his f7 pawn, meaning that only two or three other pieces can attack me at the same time, meaning that his attack won't necessarily succeed because I've also got three pieces that are defending my own position. So after move number 23, bishop to e4, I played rook to e1, f1, sorry, rook to f8, and then queen to f4. So notice here the idea is actually pretty neat. The idea is to triple my battery over here by playing rook to d2 and rook to f2. Now there are some other ideas which that I thought of is trying to bring the queen over to h6. Which is also another possibility. So in this position he played the bishop to e4. Notice here that if I take this bishop over here, bishop check, discovered attack, and if I take the bishop he's going to take my queen, and it's -3, meaning that it's so much better for black. So I did see that, so I was just like, hold on a second, I'm just going to play my queen to here. And here basically, if per se black plays something like this move, knight to e6 is an excellent move. And the reason why it's excellent is that if this happens, then bishop takes e6, then rook to f7, rook takes f7, then in sheer desperation, king takes, queen c7 check, rook takes check, king h8, and then queen checkmate. So you see that I do have that mating attack. Notice here that I can also go the simple mating attack like so, bishop takes e6, f7, and rook here checkmate. So I do have quite a few threats in this position, and GM Zhao recognized that, and what he played was bishop to d6. Now if we promote that to the main line after bishop to d6, notice how he has this threat over here, as the computer has shown just then, trapping my queen. My queen literally has nowhere to go, so I have to try and do something. What the engine is suggesting is that I play knight to e2. Now let's see what he suggests. After knight to e2 and then rook over here, they're suggesting that I do queen takes f8, king takes f8, rook takes f7, takes, and then takes this bishop. Once again, this position is normal, but so if black goes down this path, you can see that I will regain an advantage in this position, because simply said, my rook is more active than his, my knight can go to both light squares and dark squares, his bishop can only visit one color. So if a position like that happened, it would have been all good, but instead I didn't necessarily see this idea of queen takes f8, so I got scared and then I played g4. And you know, in a position when you're playing a higher rated person, it's okay to get scared, because it's okay to doubt yourself in terms of, you know, how much stuff that they know in compared to how much stuff that you know. By comparing those two, you're pretty much digging your own grave, because your mind is different to your opponent's mind, meaning that in certain aspects you could be better at calculating lines than your opponent. So different minds to different people. So always keep that in mind. Do not ever get scared every single time, unlike me, who got scared over here. So I played g4, once again ruining my position. Notice here that these two bishops are just extremely strong. As expected of a grandmaster, they get a suitable advantage, even a small positional one, and then they just make it look big. They expand on it, and then they put more pressure and allow people to lose games by themselves. So in this position, queen to c7. Now, we said putting more pressure on this diagonal. After queen to c7, he's also threatening something like rook over here. So he's got some control over the most vital squares in the whole position. And I had to figure out what I had to do against this. And then I saw this move one move late. So I should have played this before. No, sorry. So I saw this move, rook to d2. So in this position, I played rook to d2. Now, if you're going on, rook to c1 was played, and then knight to e2, rook takes, king takes, and now he has the dangerous bishop to e5. And the reason that he plays that is because he wants to put the bishop back and also bring the rook over, stopping any kind of threats that I might have against him. So I play queen to h4, trying to get my queen out of this hole on h6, afterwards followed by king to h8. He's getting out of that pin that I told you about. Now he's planning to push f4. Now here the engine is suggesting queen to f2 with -1, so I'm pretty much losing in this position. Now what happened was bishop to a4, because I wanted to play rook to d7 and then take this pawn over here if he plays f4 straight away. But him being the GM, he was just like, you know what, I'm gonna push this pawn to b5. And then after bishop takes b5, he was like, pawn to f5. And in this position, I'm pretty much lost. I played rook to d7 to try for one last effort for an attack, but no, he just rejected the idea and he took the pawn, king over, queen check. I should have played rook d2 here, but then I played king d1, and then he delivered a final blow, rook to f1, next move queen e1, rook takes e1, that's checkmate. So that being said, that is the first game that I played in the Gold Coast Open. Even though that I lost this game, I wasn't necessarily sad that I lost it, because the reason why I went to Gold Coast is to improve my rating. And you only improve your rating by playing players that are higher rated than you. So the chance that I got to play this game is really, really lucky. There are some players in the tournament who didn't even get to verse someone who is actually stronger than them within the tournament. So I was quite privileged to get GM Zhao within the first round. So the game was really, really competitive, and it was really tactical, which I'm really proud of, because usually I'm not a tactical player. The Collie system isn't a tactical opening, but the reason that it turned tactical is because we both opened up the position. So just a little pointer: if you want the position to be more tactical, open it up, develop more pieces, and hence you can start attacks out of nowhere. So that's just a small takeaway advice from this game, and I think I think I played a good game for a first round against a GM, so I wasn't unhappy at all. And I pretty much went back to the hotel room and then went to sleep, getting ready for the next round, which started at 9 a.m. at the Hinterland Hotel in Nerang, which I'll see you guys for in the next episode. So with that being said, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with all your chess friends. The more people we get playing chess, the better. And if you haven't clicked the bell after you subscribe, do that as well. You'll get an email straight away every time that I upload. So with that being said, thank you, and I'll see you next time.